All right, class. First off, is always good day. I'm glad you're here. So today's lesson is going to be simply on Leonardo da Vinci. This guy is revolutionary in every which way. He's a guy that I feel you guys should know about what he did, what he have accomplished, what he didn't finish, things like that, because he is very. I mean, just at that time, even now, he's called the ripple effect. And some of his things that he created years ago, people barely started creating in like the 1900s. So, yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So, we're going to analyze how Da Vinci became a famous artist. We're going to examine what happened to his artwork that he created. Where'd it go? Why isn't there more of it everywhere, and things like that? And we're creating an argument on whether Da Vinci's Mona Lisa is complete or not. Now, speaking of the Mona Lisa, here she is. Now, you guys are going to put your 2 cents in on one of the most controversial questions there is about this painting. Is she smiling? So analyze this picture, really look at it, and tell me, in your opinion, is she smiling? Why or why not? In your opinion, okay, so really look at it, analyze it, really take a minute to look at it and decide, is she smiling or isn't she? Okay, so pause the video, write your response, okay, because we're moving on in three, two, one. All right, so Leonardo da Vinci, born 1452 and died in 1519. His mother and father were born out of he was born out of wedlock, meaning that they never got married. It was kind of like a one-time thing, and that was it. They He did not have any brothers and sisters. He had half brothers and half sisters from each parent, but he never had like a true full-blooded brother or sister. Okay. Now, the other thing about Da Vinci is he had no formal education, meaning he didn't go to school. He was taught the basic education stuff, reading, writing, and math, you know. But as to going to school and learning and things like that, he didn't have that, like at all. Okay. But at 15 years old, his dad recognized that, man, my son is talented. He can paint, he can do like sculpture work on like marble and pieces of wood and things like that. He's actually very talented. So he got an apprenticeship with a very famous sculptor and painter at that time named Andrea del, I'm going to kill his last name, Verrocchio. Okay. So he spent time with him and basically learned the skill of how to be a sculptor, how to make, you know, marble and other rocks look realistic and things like that, how to curve it and chip at it and make it look real. So he became an independent master in 1478. So he was about 26 years old. So he spent about good like 10 years with that under the apprenticeship of that guy. Now, about 4 years later, he gets his first commissioned work. So somebody's paying him to make something, sculpt something, paint something, whatever it may be. And he says, all right, I'll do it. He never finishes it, ever. So it's like partly done. That's going to be a common theme you're going to find out about Da Vinci. So here are some sketches from his notebooks that he's done. So this is what I mean by he doesn't finish his stuff. These are sketches, as you can see. One's like looks like a lion, the other one's looks like a dog. Beautifully done, as you can see, but he doesn't finish it. Okay, and again, you're gonna see that come by again and again quite a bit. Now, he went to Milan. If you remember from the last lesson, Milan was one of those cities that just exploded during the Renaissance. So he went there and he served the Forza clan. We talked about them, if you remember from the last lesson. And to their clan, he did several jobs. He was an engineer, he was a painter, an architect. He designed the court festival. So when they had parties in like the downtown, he's the one who designed everything. And this is where the float should come in. This is where this should be. This is about this and that. And more importantly, he was their sculptor. Now the thing is, they wanted to honor their ancestor named Francisco Forza, and they're like, we want commission you. We want you to make a 16-foot tall bronze horse in honor of Francesco Forza. And he's like, gotcha. He's like, it's gonna take a while, but I can do it. They're like, yeah, yeah, no problem. Just make sure it's good. So he's working on it off and on for about 12 years. He's working on this horse. Now, this is a sketch of a horse. I cannot find from all my research if that's the kind of horse it was supposed to look like, or it was just standing still, or what. But this is like the only horse, well, not the only horse picture I could find, but it was one of them that looked more complete. But the thing is, he made it out of clay, right? And in 1493, he was ready for display. He was ready to show them, hey, look at this, how it's going to look like, things like that. The problem is, at this time, the French were invading. The French were taking over areas, and they ended up going to Milan. Now, Milan was like, "Hey, we don't want any beef with you, France." So they basically said, "Hey, we got all this bronze. We'll give it to you as a, don't hurt us type of thing. It's a tribute. Leave us alone." So the French basically said, "Oh, thank you for this bronze. We appreciate it." So what they did is they took that bronze, melted it down, and basically made a cannonball out of it. Well, several cannonballs, and they used that to attack the city. So they took their gift, made it into a weapon, and shot it right back at them. The French eventually took over Milan, and the clay horse, which was there for people to see, these French soldiers were like, we look at target practice, and they start shooting at it, throwing knives at it, things like that. Um, and eventually, the clay model was destroyed in 1499. So that's why there's no record of it. No, we can't see it because it was completely destroyed before um, Da Vinci could make it into bronze. So very few of Da Vinci's paintings and sculptures have survived. That's why you don't see a lot of them around, things like that. That's why a lot of his paintings and sculptures were so much money. It's because there's very few of them, and that those that he actually completed and finished. One of the most famous ones is the Last Supper, and that's a part of a picture of it right there. It took him about 3 years to complete, and it's not a tiny picture. Oh, no, no, no. This thing is 15 feet by 29 feet. So it's 15 feet high by 29 feet across. It's a huge painting on a wall. Okay. Now I know a lot of people told me like, oh my God, yeah, my grandma has that picture, in the living room or in the kitchen and things like that. Yeah, but that's a small one. The real thing is huge, 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 huge. Now, the Mona Lisa, on the other hand, your warm up picture, it's the opposite. It's a tiny picture, 21 by 39 inches. So, you know, not that big. Okay. Now, it took him 4 years to complete it. But here's the thing, he never truly completed it. He felt like, no, 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 I need to change this. I need to add this. I need to do this to it. So he never truly finished it completely. In his eyes, it wasn't complete. And the thing is, he never gave it away. He kept it with him until he died. So again, Da Vinci's Mona Lisa, in his eyes, is not complete. Now, originally, the name of it was not the Mona Lisa. It was a Gioconda, La Gioconda. Okay. Now, one of the age-old questions is this: who's the girl? Who's that girl in the painting? You know, from the research I've done, I could basically narrow it down to two people. There was a girl named Mona Lisa I'm gonna kill this last name. Giardini. Okay. Now she was a courtesan. Okay. And uh, a courtesan is basically a nice way of saying a street worker of a woman, but for high class people. Okay. It wasn't your average run of the mill type of girl you could find on the street. No, no, these were for wealthy people. Okay. So that's one that, hey, this is probably this girl he liked. He probably maybe messed around with. Okay. The other one is this other girl named Lisa del Gioconda. And she was a daughter of a merchant, Fernando del Giocondo, who basically is, said that, hey, he paid Da Vinci for a painting that he never really got. And again, Da Vinci didn't finish a lot of paintings. So is it the Mona Lisa? Is it something else? We don't know. So these two are the ones I found to be the most credible. Like it might be either one of these of all the different ones I've heard about, different theories of who the Mona Lisa is. Um, those two are probably the most chances are. Now, here's what I was telling you guys last class where I think Da Vinci is just absolutely amazing. Is the thing is he was always studying. He was studying nature, mechanics, anatomy, physics, architecture work, weaponry, and just everything. Anything he could just learn about, he would want to learn about. And the things that he made, that he invented, were made accurately and they were workable designs. You know, things like bicycles, helicopters, submarines, military tanks, things like that. He made them and they did work. But the thing is, some of the research stuff I found out was that he purposely, to avoid people getting his designs and making these weapons of war and some of that and saying, oh, yeah, they're Da Vinci stuff, what he did is he purposely changed the design on certain things, small things, but because those small changes were made, the weapons wouldn't work, the tanks wouldn't work, the helicopter thing wouldn't work because he changed one, two, three little things, and that basically made it obsolete because it didn't work. So now, like I said, a lot of Da Vinci's paintings and projects were unfinished, a lot of them. Okay, but still, you could tell this guy knew what he was doing. You know, he spent a lot of time in nature, testing scientific law, and he was doing a big old no-no back in the day, which was dissecting bodies, humans and animals. He wanted to see like why when you bend your arm like this, why does that muscle move? When you do this, why does your forearm muscles move? What causes that? You know, what pulls at it? So to him, it was kind of like machinery. Why does this happen in our bodies and things like that? How does this work? How does it function? What connects to what? So he would get bodies and dissect them, cut them up, and then draw in his notebooks like this is the stomach, this is where a pregnant woman, you know, where the baby would be. This is how the arm when it flexes. This is muscles at rest. This one's at work. Things like that. He would look at that kind of stuff, okay, and he would observe it and write it down in his notebooks. Now, speaking of his notebooks had a bunch of things: his little paintings, architectural ideas, mechanical stuff, his anatomy findings, and stuff like that. But when he wrote his notes down, it wasn't just the standard way we write stuff. No, 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 no. He wrote it left-handed mirror script. Now, if you don't know what that means, it's basically you write it. We write from right, from left to right, right? You know, we do that. He writes it from uh, right to left. All right. So it's backwards. So the only way you could really read it is kind of like there you see in the pictures. You have to put a mirror right to the side of it and tilt the mirror so you can read the whole thing. That's how he wrote his notes. Now, that's pretty impressive. You think about somebody writing like that. Perfect English. like that. And you could read it if you put a mirror next to it. You could read what he wrote. That's pretty awesome. So here's a little example of it. So take a second, try to read this. If you can, awesome. If it takes you a minute, that's okay, as long as you read it. But this is what I'm talking about. That's how you write left-handed mirror script. Now, here's the problem. He didn't get much fame from his anatomy notebooks, which he should have, but the thing is, he didn't publish it until the 1500s. And by then, other people have already published books about like how the arm works and the stomach and the brain and things like that, which he studied and which he wrote down. But he was kind of fearful of like, yeah, no, I don't want to publish these books because it might cause problem. People might not buy it, and I'm gonna be a pariah. But finally, when he did, it's already too late. People already beat him to it. Um, in 1516, he left Italy. He was like, I'm done with this country. So he went off, and basically, the king of France, Francis the First, said, "Come on over." He goes, "I'm going to give you a title. You're going to be a premier painter and engineer and architect to the king." And he's like, "Cool. So what do I do?" And the king's like, "You can do whatever you want. You're Leonardo da Vinci. You know, you can draw, paint, whatever you want. You want to do, a sculpture of something? Cool. Let me know what you need. You want to build a building, right? Fine. We'll do that for you. Whatever you want. In fact, just to sweeten the deal, we're going to give you a nice, comfortable home to do all your stuff that what you want to do." And that home was called Chateau de Cleux, the home of the clouds. Okay. Now, that's basically where he spent the rest of his days, up until 1519 when he died. He was 67 years old. Supposedly, this picture right there is a self portrait of himself that he basically looked in the mirror and made a drawing of himself. Now, when he died, some idiot had the great idea of, oh, I'll steal his notebooks and make money off this. Now, his notebook pages were called the codices or codexes, and basically this person or people like ripped off the pages and sold them one by one. Oh, this is Da Vinci's from Da Vinci's notebook. Here's another page from Da Vinci's notebook if you want to buy it. So his work was scattered throughout Europe and Asia for centuries. And it's only within the past like 50 some years that people have finally started to collect them and digitally scan them so that people can see them for all eternity now instead of just one household having it and not showing and sharing with everyone else. Okay. Now, if you feel like, I want to go see his body, I would like to pay respects, good luck. Because in the early 1800s, during the French Revolution, um, this grave area where a lot of famous people were buried was destroyed. So his gravesite, his tombstone, was completely destroyed, and all records that said this is where so and so is buried, this is where so and so is buried, all those records were destroyed. So nobody really knows who's buried here, who's buried there, who's buried here. It could be just a nobleman, it could be one of the kings, of such and such place. We don't know. It was destroyed. So if you ever would wish to pay your respects to him, go to his graveyard, or you have to go to that whole cemetery, and good luck finding it. Now, of all Da Vinci's skill and talent, which one do you feel is the most impressive? Being an engineer, a painter, architect, designer court, a sculptor, mathematician, making weaponry. You know, what do you think? What's in your opinion? Which one is the most impressive, and why? Why is that impressed you the most of all his skills? Okay. With that being said, guys, once you finish this question, you're done with this lesson. So hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Um, with that being said, you guys, you take care, you be safe, and I'll see you guys later.